Welcome to Module 10, and in this particular module we're going to take a look at error handling and validation, both on the API and on the client as well. So let's take a look at what's coming up in this particular module. And first of all, we're going to take a look at validation in our API. And validation in our API is essential. We want to protect our server from receiving bad data from the client. And the way that we can do that is by validating the data that is sent from the client to our server. And there's a few different ways of looking at this. The first way we'll look at is using data attributes on our classes or our class properties to make sure they meet the requirements that we set. And we can also use validation using something called fluent validation. And due to the way that we're architecting our application, this is the approach that we'll use for our application. We also need to look at exception and error handling. At the moment we're doing nothing with this. We've sort of put a few exceptions here and there, but we're not really doing anything with our exceptions or anything to do with error handling either. If something goes wrong with our application at the moment, we're simply going to crash our application, throw a 500 internal server error, and that's where we stand just now. But we're going to fix that. And we're going to add our own custom middleware to handle the exceptions that our application raises. Now, due to the nature of our application architecture and the fact that we want to use extremely thin API controllers, that means our API controllers are going to be dumb. They're not going to be responsible for throwing exceptions or handling validation or anything like that. They're still just going to be the simple dumb API controllers that we have now. And that means our error handling and exception handling logic is going to need to move into our application project. It's our business logic that's going to define whether a request has an error or not. On the client side, we're going to take a look at Axios interceptors because we want a way to intercept an error that comes back from our server. And this gives us the opportunity to control what happens with this particular error. And we'll also take a look at throwing errors from Axios to various other parts of our application as well. But next up, we're going to take a look at just an introduction to validation, and then we'll go ahead and implement that.